Hello and welcome to the Bend Like Bamboo Resilience Show. To bend like bamboo is to master change with flexibility. And on the show, I get to learn from and interview special guests about resilience and how to master it in our minds, in our bodies, and in our lives. And today I'm interviewing the beautiful Laura Bennetto. Hi, darling.
Hi, how are you, Amanda?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me.
That's okay. Please let me introduce you properly. So Laura is a Pilates instructor and the founder of C Studio. Laura has a background in psychology and social work with extensive experience working in the field of mental and sexual health, addiction and disability. It is through this lens that she has created a studio where the mind and body can come together. Having used Pilates herself to recover from emotional and physical trauma, it is on this journey of self-discovery that drives her vision of a studio that helps others define and attain their own version of health and well-being. So obviously, I love what you do.
Thank you, Amanda.
You know, I'm a huge lover of you and your work, and you are my Pilates instructor. I love that you've got clinical training, and it's been so wonderful working with you remotely, in 2020.
Yeah, what a year.
What a year. But you know what? I can't believe the change in my body just doing floor work without even the equipment.
Yes.
So I came to you the other day and we finally saw each other in person. I couldn't believe the exercises I could do
Yeah.
versus, 6, 7, 8 months ago where I couldn't even hold the positions.
Yes. Well, I mean, the original Pilates repertoire was on the mat, so it is a full body
Yes.
experience head to toe. I mean, the equipment's amazing, but yeah, it's just about just continuing to keep moving, and yeah, you've made amazing
Progress.
gains. Yeah, progress, exactly.
Yeah. And because I've got MS and I've got symptoms of the pelvic floor and bladder and bowel and that whole area where, that's my vulnerable area and digestive system. When I'm working out and moving my body every day and I'm strengthening the pelvic floor, my symptoms go away.
That's amazing.
It's profound and it's life-changing for me. Yeah, like it changes lives.
It does.
Because when you have to pee all the time, it's really annoying.
It is very annoying.
It's really annoying. And you think too far in the future. You get out of the present moment. You're
the body affects the mind and the mind affects the body. It's
and when you get out of your comfort zone, you get nervous. Like we all need to sort of pee a lot more when we get nervous. But me, like it's a huge trigger for me. And it just throws me. But when we do the work and I'm moving my body every day, and that includes, regular Pilates sessions. And I think it makes a difference doing it at least 3 times a week, like at least.
Absolutely. That third class, it exponentially adds to the benefits more than just
it's a game changer. It takes it to a whole new level. Because last year I was probably I only had time to really do two times a week. But when we upped it to 3, the definition and it's great. Oh, so
that's what I love to hear.
Yeah. So how long ago did you study Pilates?
Look, I 4 years ago, I started my diploma. I'd done some previous study about 8 years ago, and when I was living in Hong Kong. And then I came back and I went back into a social work job for a little while. And then about 2 years later, then I thought, no, this is what I want to do. And I went back and completed my training, or did the extra training to make sure I knew what I was doing. And I felt like I was doing doing Pilates justice, doing the method justice.
Yes.
So it's not a quick course to finish, and I think it's one of those fields where you're always learning. So
how many years does it take? Yeah, how many years does it take to study Pilates like properly?
Look, the diploma, a year.
Yep.
And then you have then you have an ongoing 300 hours of teacher training where you have to complete that before you actually become qualified. So
yeah.
So it just depends. If you've got a lot of time on your hands, you can do it quicker. If you're a mum or you're working another job at the same time,
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course. That's the great thing about studying is you weave it in where you can. And you did, and you got there and you achieved it. So what does Pilates do for the mind, in your opinion?
Oh, look, I think Pilates for me is my version of meditation. I do meditate as well, but it's about bringing the mind into the body and being present in your body. And the way that Pilates is taught and the way it's cued and the way we create visual techniques to get people to feel a movement or to experience a movement, your mind becomes so quiet and present within your body, and all that stuff disappears into the background, all that outside stuff, all that world stuff, all that overthinking and the racing mind and the thoughts and what I have to do later and tomorrow and all that sort of stuff. It fades away and you become very, very present in the body. And I think that stays with you, not just while you're in the class, but it also you take it away with you. And I think just having that presence of and awareness of your body.
And a great way to start your day. Like what a morning ritual to, set up your state like that. And it sounds like it's a really great way to empty the mind, bringing yourself back into the present moment, which is, our most creative state and also where we're going to promote repair in the body.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, let's dive in. So what does resilience mean to you?
Oh, it's a big term. I think traditionally I know or I understand resilience is sort of the ability to bounce back from adversity quickly and better than before. And I acknowledge that's very relevant. But I think the term for me, and I think on a bigger scale, has evolved, I think. And it means a lot more than that now. And I think also because it relates to humans and the way that humans human feeling and human behavior, I think it's very multi-dimensional.
Yes.
So for me, rather than sort of bouncing back quickly and strongly, it's more about just being able to move through difficult times, challenges, grief, whatever that may look like for you, to continue to move, whether it's forward, whether it's sideways, whether it's even if it's backwards for a little bit, couple of steps back. But to continue to move and to be able to adjust, to absorb, and to find lessons in whatever it is that you're going through in your life.
What I love about that is you're defining resilience in the most important way, in that sometimes we think push forward, move on and, bounce back from adversity, go to the next thing. But unless you sit in the crap and the difficultness of the pain, you won't go through it. And it's only by going through it that you become this whole new version of yourself that might be stronger, wiser, whatever. That, it's all about being able to sit in it, and maybe it's about pausing. And I love this vulnerable side of resilience that you're presenting.
Yeah, and I think very much that, the traditional idea of resilience, whilst it's, as I said, really valid, and for some people that's how it looks and that's brilliant. I mean, I'd love to be like that. But I think it can be, I think that rhetoric can be a little bit narrow, and I think it can make people feel a little bit like, well, what's wrong? If you're not like that, well, what's wrong with me? Am I not resilient? Am I not, because I can't just bounce back, or I'm finding this hard. I'm doing this slowly, or I don't feel stronger. I don't feel stronger. It doesn't mean that you're not resilient, and it doesn't mean that you're not moving forward and growing and thriving. It's just it feels different and it looks different for you, and that doesn't that doesn't sort of discount your experience, or it doesn't mean that you're not strong. I mean, I think moving through anything challenging, there's an inherent strength there, but sometimes it doesn't feel that way.
Oh yeah, I think you've got to love yourself enough to go at your own pace and not compare yourself to others. Hey.
Yeah.
So important. Well, I'd love you to share something that you've been through that, you know, you had to be resilient through.
Look, I think probably, well, I know probably the biggest thing was I was pregnant with my second child, a little girl, Kai, and at about 36 weeks, we lost her. I was 36 weeks pregnant. So, world just
collapsed all around you.
Life as I knew it came to an end. I mean, it didn't, but that's how it felt. So,
absolutely. My
gosh. So that was, there was a lot that I had to confront.
That's your body, that's your mind, that's your spirit. You only had a few weeks to go before you were expecting to give birth, right? Yeah, I can't even imagine. That would have just been one of the hardest things. The hardest thing I could imagine. Yeah.
As I said, I think, just everything changes basically in a split second, and it's sort of then it becomes well, for a little while it becomes panic and numbness and just inability to move, and then I guess you have to find a point where you're like, well, how do I start to move?
And so before you started to move, and when you were at your lowest point, what was that like, sitting in that?
It was pretty scary. I think, I mean, at first you just sort of go, you sort of don't even want to be conscious. You just want to be gone. And I don't mean that in I don't mean that in you don't want to be alive, but you don't want to be
present.
You just, because your mind just, I mean, you don't even know how to deal with something like that. I mean, hopefully you haven't been through something like that before, but if it is the first time, so I think, you go from that to sort of then thinking, well, where to now? And I think, I'd set my life up to be a certain way. I already had a child, and then I was going to have another child, and then I was going to have a year of maternity leave, and then I was going to go back to so it's all these things that a map, I guess, and suddenly that map's just gone, and you're like, well, what do I do? So there's this real time where you're sort of very, very lost, I think.
Oh my gosh. And coming home from hospital, and then it would have taken months and months and months and months and months to even get back into your body enough to even just go back to normal life routine. It just would have been a total time of pause. I thought about you guys, because I've known you and Alan for so long, and when I heard what happened, I just thought of you guys. I thought, they must be just in a bubble of pause. And you have to stop and honor that moment. There's just no choice.
You do have to give yourself that time. And I think, and as I said, of course there's moments where you don't know how you're going to go on. You're like, I have no idea at all. But you do, because you don't have a choice. I mean, the choice, you have a choice in what that looks like, but at the end of the day, you just have, you have to find a way.
And how did you, like, when you started to turn that around, talk me through that. Like, how was that experience for you? And what was your turning point? How did you come out of it?
Look, I think there's very much, there was, for me, there wasn't necessarily a turning point, but there were just small turning points, small moments where I, I think grief and trauma, and that, it's not, I think before I had this idea that it was something that you sort of push through, or like a task to finish, that you get through to the other side. And I very much learned that that's not the case. It's more it's more something that you endure. And so for me, it was about, and I use this term really, really loosely. I don't, it sounds, I used to say, you know, fake it till you make it. And it wasn't about faking it, pretending you're okay, but it was about getting up, doing what you had to do, and then giving yourself time, then allocating some time where you could just fall apart and be
not okay. Just to be a not okay.
Exactly. But then, so, you know, so I would get up, I would do what I needed to do with my daughter, I would be mum, I would do all that sort of stuff. And then as soon as Elka went to bed, then that would be my time to just fall apart. So it was just, so at first, that's all it was. It was just allocating. So being okay when I had to be okay, but then allowing myself not to be okay. So that was that. And then then the times then where I was okay and not okay the balance started to shift, and it started to become easier to be in that space. And then I guess as the balance starts to tip, then you're able to start to sort of open your mind to future possibilities and you know, thinking about what do I really want out of this life. And it was that point where I decided to do my Pilates training. So
that was helped with that. How did that happen? How did that inspire your decision to just go for it?
So that definitely was one of the points, as I said, one of the moments where I was like, okay, so this is, what am I going to do? What do I want? What this time that I didn't think I would have, what am I going to do with it? And then I was like, well, do you know what I really want to do? I really want to do Pilates. It's something I've wanted to do for, as I said, for quite a few years. So I did that, and that was honestly, I can probably say it might sound a bit melodramatic, but it actually saved me, I think.
Absolutely.
The course, having something to focus on, and especially something like especially a discipline like Pilates, as we spoke about at the start, just bringing myself back into my body, healing my body physically from childbirth, and just feeling that sort of, again, synergy with my body and love for my body again, and and just something positive.
The power of Pilates. I mean, gosh, it went to work.
And movement again. So movement physically and metaphorically. Forwards. So it for me, it was a real lifesaver.
A time of healing for you.
It sounds like a time of healing.
It sounds like your recovery was in cycles and chapters. So it's like this chapter, and then I'm going to do this chapter, and then there's this cycle of I'm okay, then not, and then I mean, you know, look at you now, and gosh, you wouldn't even know. Like, I can't even tell that you would have gone through something like that, and we do come out the other side. And so, what's the biggest thing you learned, do you think, from that experience in life?
I think just, oh gosh, I mean, you're constantly learning, but I think just that I think that I'm capable of more than I thought I was. I think before I was very much afraid. I've always been very much afraid of the what if or the what could happen. That's my personality. I'm a little bit of a warrior. And then something does come along and floor you and take away something that you love, and you don't stop.
It didn't break you.
It doesn't.
And then you realize your resilience and how strong you are, and then that perhaps now gets you out of your comfort zone more.
Yeah. I think so. I think exactly. I think that you realize what's important. You realize you don't want to waste time. I think I have a great understanding of myself, and I have a great understanding of life and death, and great understanding of time.
I don't want to waste time.
And as I said, just I think just what I'm capable of.
I think that when we go through difficult things, whether it's professionally or personally, it is going through it, as you explained at the start, just sitting in it and going through it, that creates the polarity of relief on the other end. And you look back and you're like, with trauma like that, you realize, wow, I got through that, and it does make you stronger. Whereas in a different example, let's say in business, and you went through a really grueling time, and it was, and then there was success at the other end of it, that's when you feel elated and just go, oh, I did that. Like, it's only by going through the difficult things that you don't really think you can do, and you throw yourself and you lean in. And that's what helps you to discover what you're made of, and allows us to find gifts about ourselves that we didn't even know were there. And, you know, it's hard when it comes through in trauma, though.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And I think the one thing that's important to note is that in many ways you're stronger, but in other ways you'll be different in a way that you might not see it as a strength, or you might feel like, you know, I don't feel stronger. I feel like I've got these edges and scars, but they may never go, but you do learn to sit with them, and you learn to accept them as a part of you and a part of your journey. And it doesn't always look like you know, that it doesn't always look like you've reached the other side. But
I love that. That's, your battle scars are a part of you, and you've got to love them.
And I think the other side is not a magical place that you get to. It's just all part of the process, and you will
like
look
the
back
tapestry, and
so,
you look back, and what do you feel?
I mean, I still have a lot of grief, and but I look back and I feel proud that that I am where I am, and I also feel really, really grateful. I mean, I have another child, a little boy now, and you know, he brings me so much joy, and it's, whilst I'm sad, I still feel really grateful. Not grateful that I went through that, but I'm grateful for the things that I have, and I still feel grateful that she was part of my life.
You can still see goodness around you, even though there was such darkness, and the courage it would have taken to go for another child again. Yeah,
that came with a whole nother, it's a whole nother conversation. But I mean, it was it came with its challenges, but I mean, what a reward.
Love that. So beautiful. So do you have any final tips like that you'd like to share with anyone else that might out there be going through something similar? Do you have any tips for them?
Look, I would just say, be soft with yourself. Give yourself time, and be really flexible. Be flexible with your goals. Be flexible with as I said, with your timeline. Be flexible with your goals. Be flexible with the things that you need to get yourself up each day to move. You know, they may be, you know, if you're lucky enough to have these internal resilience mechanisms that, you know, that are, you know, instilled in us through protective factors, through childhood and all those things. If you're lucky enough to have those, that's amazing. But it's okay also to look externally for some of those things. Some of them are healthier than others. Might be kinesiology, Pilates, diet, counselling.
Do what works for you, and just be flexible.
It might be medication for a little while, whatever it is. So be open and flexible. Love it. And the other thing I would just say, and is just to eliminate the word should from your vocabulary.
Yeah.
It's no good. It's no good. It's no good.
It's a waste of energy. Yeah. Just be you and be in your experience.
Yeah. And as I said right at the start, is that this, you know, resilience looks different for everyone, and the way it looks for you is the way it's meant to look for you.
Yeah.
So you'll find it in your own time and in your own way. And
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Laura. This is really inspiring. It's
No
very
problem.
special that you've shared such a deep, traumatic journey with everybody today and on the show. I like from the bottom of my heart, thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you for having me.
That's all right. And if you guys want to check out Laura's awesome business, C Studio, it's cstudio.com.au. And she's also on Instagram. Thanks, Laura, so much.
No problem.
We should get stuck into our Pilates session next, but before
Yes.
we're about to jump in.
So let's get moving.
Let's get moving. So everybody, no matter what you are going through, you can overcome it and discover what you are made of. See you next week.